What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost, and today The Rise of Skywalker finally releases in America to the general public. And there's some people on Twitter that are expressing how excited they are to go see this movie. There's a lot of other people who are basically laughing at The Rise of Skywalker right now, laughing at what J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger have put out there as the end of the Skywalker saga. Basically thinking that Disney Star Wars is dead. There are some people that are angry as hell at this movie because they still held out some form of hope, and from what they've seen from all the leaks, they are just absolutely pissed off. And for those people, I will say, I'm sorry that your expectations were subverted. Maybe now you know how another huge group of fandom feels. But either way, out there on social media, it is basically impossible to avoid spoilers. And this is something I have never seen before in my life. The amount of spoilers and the depth that are out there. Now, the leaks, obviously we've had the leaks for a long time from Jedi Praxis that all turned out to be true. All along the way, as he updated them through the reshoots. I don't know who this guy is. I'm thinking, if I had to bet, this guy might as well be John Boyega. Like, that's the best bet I could imagine. Because this dude knows everything that happened. And he was spot on the entire time. Another person that was right, Doomcock. Hashtag at Doomcock was right. I think that's a great hashtag that we should probably spread around because that dude caught a lot of crap for everything he said. But hashtag Doomcock was right. His sources were right. But I've never seen anything like these leaks. And the only explanation I have, we had Avengers Endgame. That was the biggest, movie going experience that I can remember as far as all of this setup, all the people that were interested in it, the amount of fanfare, the amount of promotion, all that stuff. And I didn't see any spoilers for that. Now, I did try to avoid them, but it wasn't like I was off social media, nothing like that. I just didn't see any spoilers for it. And I follow a lot of people that were heavily involved in the MCU. But with Star Wars, it just seems like so many people, this is getting spread around because people are so mad about it. People just don't care. They're laughing at it. They're posting these clips because they're funny. These clips, you're seeing literally minutes of clips that people film. You're seeing all these stills. They're getting clipped because it's so ridiculous that people want to laugh at it. That is the state of Disney Star Wars right now, the sequel trilogy. And when you look right here, let me pull it up. This is Rotten Tomatoes right now. We talked about it yesterday. It was right around here as well, around 58%. The review count's now up to 225, and it certainly looks like it's going to be hanging around right here. It's definitely not going to have some huge jump up at this point. I can't see that happening. I can see it shifting a couple points here and there. It could definitely get to 60. I think that Disney would really like it to get to that nice red tomato instead of a splatter. Look at Knives Out. When Knives Out, a Rian Johnson movie, is at 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the J.J. Abrams Star Wars movie is at 58. Just an interesting. Oh, you guys can't see it. There it is. Knives Out. Just an interesting day. But when you look at that, the audience score, I'm excited to see it. Obviously, Rotten Tomatoes has changed the way that they do audience scores ever since, Captain Marvel and what happened there. I'm sure that whatever happens, there will be a segment of the media that blames any audience score on Russian bots or trolls or what have you. It couldn't be that people just didn't like the movie, right? Really makes you think, all these people that reviewed it this way, man, they must be bigots and sexists and, phobes and all that kind of stuff, right? That must be why they didn't like this movie. Now, when we look at IMDb, we can see Star Wars Rise of Skywalker 6.8 out of 10. It started pretty high, and it's just been kind of crashing down. 6.8 may sound okay. You may be like, oh, well, that's not too bad. Well, when you think about it, and we know that Star Wars The Last Jedi had a 7.1, so we know that this is already rated lower than Last Jedi, and I think that is saying something. Now, Rotten Tomatoes, obviously a grain of salt, especially that audience score, because you have to be verified reviews, and they've been pretty funky with the way they handle things and the way they remove things. We all know that. It's still going to be interesting to watch. And Odin, over on his alternate channel, he has an actual just stream. He's just streaming Rotten Tomatoes page the entire time, refresh it like every 30 seconds or something, so that you guys can see exactly when things change. So that is interesting, I think. But overall, these leaks, it's just, you know, I would be sad about the state if I hadn't already accepted the state of Disney Star Wars. I'm so far ahead in my grieving process than so many other people, and I've said that, like, there are so many people who are like devastated about this movie and what it's doing to Star Wars. And they're angry, they're sad, they're so caught up in it. And for me, you know, I've already been there, done that. You know, 2014 was my Last Jedi moment, when they got rid of the expanded universe, when they said F you to fans who have been keeping Star Wars alive since the late 80s, early 90s. You know, the expanded universe fans who, a lot of the lore that was created in the Star Wars universe went into creating the prequels. George Lucas took tons of stuff that was created in the EU to mold his prequel trilogy around. It would look completely different if you hadn't seen that. And, you know, when they said, we're getting rid of the EU, you know, go F yourselves, we want creative freedoms, all this stuff. And we responded with, wow, we don't like this new book. And we got called ist, homophobe, whatever it may be, right? Because, oh, you just didn't like this book because it featured an LGBT character. You just didn't like this book because it featured a female. And, you know, we got called Russian, we got trolls and Russian bots because Chuck Wendig's book was getting review bombed on Amazon. Again, couldn't be that people just didn't like something, right? Has to be another reason. So I went through all that. And The Force Awakens, when I saw that movie, that was my, you know, Last Jedi, or my, maybe for some, Rise of Skywalker moment. And I've been done with Disney Star Wars because it's not Star Wars to me. You know, I can't control what's canon, what's not. Only Lucasfilm can. But when I look at everything that has happened with Disney Star Wars, with the sequel trilogy, there's no way I can look at that and say that that's a continuation of George Lucas's story. And George Lucas feels the same way. There's no doubt. The fact that he was not at the premiere of Rise of Skywalker is very telling. It is very, very telling indeed. Whether, like, there is some mixed reports, whether he wasn't invited or whether he didn't show up, I can't tell you. I've seen mixed reports on that end. Either way, it doesn't really matter. The fact is that this is the end of the Skywalker saga that he created, and he was not there at the premiere. That's all you really need to know. So that's kind of what I think. That's why we're seeing all these leaks. I just think people don't care. You know, they care because it's Star Wars, but they don't care about this movie, if that makes sense. Because they look at this movie and they see a laughing stock. They see something that is worth laughing at rather than something that they think people can actually appreciate. I do think there will be people that like this movie, because there's people that like every movie. I think there's people that, whether it's because they just really care about these characters so much, or whether they just want to consume something that says Star Wars and get caught up in the hype and the excitement of another world. There are people like that. And I think there are people that are like that. And for those people, I feel bad that if they've gotten spoiled on something that they genuinely thought they could have liked. I don't understand how you could have liked it, but there are people out there that will feel that way. And so I've done my best not to retweet anything, not to share spoiler videos, pictures, nothing like that. That's just a personal choice. If you want to, I don't really care. But, you know, for me, I do think there are some people like that. So I've kind of refrained from it. But if you just want to look, if you want to see this whole movie, basically just search for Rise of Skywalker leaks on Twitter. And you will come up with a multitude of videos of nearly every scene that you can imagine. If you just want to have a good laugh, you know, I'd recommend doing that. But what do you guys think? I want to know if you guys are like me, looking at the way this thing's leaking out. Have you ever seen anything like this before? I can't remember it. I want to know why you think this is happening. Do you think I'm spot on with the fact that people just are laughing at this and don't really care about it? Or is it something else? Is it something vindictive fans? You know, I kind of want to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.